All right, welcome to the latest of our training camp reports. Paul Anderson Jr., Jay Morrison here. We are on day 8. Luke Combs is going to be starting right behind us here in a matter of hours, a
Yeah.
matter of a few hours. So we're out here in the mix. There's a hive of activity happening all around us, but we are still here to bring you the activity that happened at today's practice, 11 a.m. start. Takeaway play, thing they say. What do you got?
Well, fortunately, Luke Combs is here today because they moved practice up to 11 to 1. Had it been a normal practice, it'd be starting right now. The sun's out, it's getting hot. It was really nice. It was in the mid to upper 70s for practice. A lot of clouds, overcast, and Zach kind of backed off a little bit. Went easier on him today after yesterday's brutal, long, hot, humid practice. So I think the players appreciate that. Typically, they go a little harder the day before an off day, but I think Zach understood how much yesterday took out of them, and they got a lot of work done today. It just wasn't as strenuous as what yesterday was.
Yeah, you got a sense of, hey, these players were like, yeah, this is training camp, that's what it is. But there was a lot of shaking your head, like, yeah, yesterday was out of control. Takeaway for me, I'm going to go with something that we heard Joe Burrow say yesterday, which was, look, I'm working on my deep ball. It's not all the way there yet. I'm getting closer. And what did we see today?
It was
A
there.
lot of work and a lot of working on it. You know,
Yeah.
it was a lot of throwing the ball deep, giving shots, whether it was out of the pocket, throwing it deep, or especially early in 11s where it was clearly something that he wanted to focus on. Out of the pocket, flushed out, throwing the ball deep, hitting them on spots. He certainly still hit some, missed some, but you could see that effort and that focus on trying to work on it and make sure that's still something that he's focusing on. As many deep balls as we've probably seen him throw throughout camp to this point. So something he said yesterday, you saw the emphasis on it one day later.
And I'll just jump right into my play because it plays off of that. The deep ball, where, he was uncorking some deep ones and he was looking more like himself. The one throw today that said he feels good, he's back, was this. It wasn't there. He rolled to his right and he threw a ball on the run, just the off platform, slinging it down the field, hit Shedrick Jackson, I mean, in stride. I talked to Shedrick after practice. He said he didn't have to slow down and wait on it all. He didn't have to kick into an extra gear. He said he just dropped it in the bucket perfectly. He couldn't believe it. He was running a deep ball on the left side, and then when Burrow got flushed and rolled out to the right, he cut all the way back across the field, and Burrow, right before the sideline, just uncorks this. It looked like just a heave, a heave and a prayer, basically, and it could not have been more accurate. It was just maybe the most impressive throw I've seen him have of camp so far.
Yeah, I have that as number one impressive throw of camp for sure. It was quintessential to kind of classic Burrow, that step up on the flush out with the edge rusher coming over and then just going out there and just on the run, letting it go and it ending up right where it needed to be. You know, it was right in front of us and you kind of see the ball coming and you're like, oh, is anybody going to get to it? And turns out it was perfectly in stride with Shed getting there and pulling it down. My play of the day is another kind of the latest update as we track this cornerback battle. And it hasn't been bad for Dax Hill. I feel like we've seen plenty of good. He hasn't been totally noticeable, but today, a day where Kendrick Pryor gets behind him, beats him on a go ball. Jake Browning's able to hit it. Again, Kendrick Pryor, really just an absolute thorn in the side of Dax Hill at this point, but able to get behind him. We've seen Dax have plenty of good plays and hold his own, and he doesn't look totally out of place out there, which is something you wondered what you would see. But plays like that are kind of a reminder of it's still got to get cleaned up. It's still got to get better. You can't be getting beat over the top on a go ball by Kendrick Pryor. So kind of a note there. Latest update on the Dax Hill situation. All right, thing that they say. Let's wrap it.
Yeah, so things that they say, Geno Stone was talking to him after practice. Haven't really caught up with him much, and he hasn't. He's been, I don't want to say invisible, but they brought him here to be a playmaker, and we haven't really seen him make any plays. And he said, well, yeah, Joe Burrow's not throwing the ball my way. And he said it worked like that in Baltimore too, that Lamar kind of stayed away from him early in training camp. And he said the main thing is stay patient. He's not getting frustrated. He wants to make plays. He wants to show why he's here. But he's also got other things that he's working on within the scheme of the offense or the scheme of the defense. He said he feels really good. Early on, he's leaning on Von Bell a lot. what do we do here? What do we do here? He's not doing that anymore. He's got this all the way down. The new stuff's getting installed. He's picking it up quick. But I just thought that was notable. He did have a play yesterday, the deep ball to T.I.
Yeah.
That's first thing I asked him is, like, did you actually get a hand on that? And he did. He got about a finger or two on it and got a PBU there. But that's a guy that's going to have a lot of pass breakups, probably a lot of picks in the season. We just haven't seen it so far, but it's not because he's not been active. It's just because Joe Burrow wisely is staying away from that guy.
And I think his presence is partially as much about playmaking as it is about not seeing those busts. Yeah. And I don't feel like through 8 practices, we've seen much of that.
No,
we haven't seen a lot of those busts. These deep balls that have been hit have been flushed pockets. They've been busted coverage of, like today, Mike Hilton falls and the guy runs up the seam. Like, you're not really counting that, where like the stuff that we saw last year where you end up with 2 guys looking at each other wondering what just happened.
Hands up.
Yeah, and we heard Lou Anarumo about the 10-fold increase in communication. I think, to me, that's part of where you're seeing Geno Stone. You're not seeing those busts out there. For me, just a quick conversation with Sam Hubbard today. We talked about how Zach Taylor gave the update of week to week now. His point was, look, turning this thing that was scary for about 30 minutes, wondering what it was, from a negative to a positive, and using the positive to take extra rest. If you're not going to be going, rest up, get yourself totally fresh for the beginning of the regular season so you can get all the way. And, he doesn't need to go out there and prove anything in camp. And that was sort of his view of it. He's going to make sure he's working on the side and doing it and keeping himself in good condition, but mostly focusing on, look, this is going to be an advantage to get myself fresher when I actually show up at day 1, now that he knows that he survived a more serious injury. So that wraps us up. Day 8. Luke Combs is about to take this place over, so we're going to take a couple of days off. You'll be there, of course.
Of course.
Of course. I just look forward to finding out what seat that you sneak down into.
Not all rock and roll. I do like my country. I do like Luke Combs.
So maybe some of you will be going down there too. Sunday, Bengals are back at practice, and of course, Sunday night, we will have you guys taking care of wrapping up whatever goes on at that practice. Remember, like, subscribe, tell your friends, do all that stuff, hit the buttons and things. We really appreciate that to help spread the word. And episode of Who Dey Light is up. And, of course, we'll be back in our normal run. Game day, right around the corner, next Saturday. Going to be a first game day. Really looking forward to that. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.